see me well? Just want to make sure that we are live before we begin. Well, this is always something that we want to make sure technicality always works, right? But sometimes so let me just do a quick check. Okay, it seems like we are live. Well, welcome on a rainy day, and it seems like the forecast, we're going to have 4 days of water, right? So water, some of them they say it's chai. So these 4 days soak in all the chai that you can, right? So in the new year, with all this water, maybe it helps us to have a better economy also. Well, so while many of you may not be heading out because of all the rain and you just want to snuggle back in, then if not, then just tune in. Today we have a very exciting continuity from our last video, where the previous video we actually touched on the Orie 1 bedroom and 4 and 5 bedroom. So if you are actually looking purely just for the 1 or 4 bedroom, right, then you may want to check out the previous video that I've done. I have given in quite a lot of insights about how do you actually determine whether a 1 bedroom is still worth to purchase, even though many people are always shying away from the 1 bedroom because of the limited supply in the area. And today, we are really going to dive into continue to cover the very popular always the 2 and the 3 bedroom. So today, if you are here, then you are in the right time to come in to actually pick up more knowledge about Orie's 2 and 3 bedroom configuration. And I'll be going through the price analysis as well as the layout. Okay, and how do we compare not just within Orie but with other developments? Will Orie's layout actually stands out in terms of comparison? All right. So as usual, I will not be going through too much details about the floor plan, the site plan, the all the materials, the developer. Yeah, all this you all can read somewhere lah. So that's why we will go straight into it. And I think many who are actually coming into the new year are looking to buy some of all these launches. Perhaps you have already missed some of the previous launches due to balloting number. So again, for new launches, it's a I would say what a hope strategy lah. Or because we really don't know whether your ballot number is good, and even if you have money, you may not be able to purchase a property. So that's where strategy comes in. Not only just based on the queue number, but could there also be other developments out there that you can also consider while you are diving into some of all these future launches? But because this is one mistake that I see in many homeowners is that they continue to keep waiting for the future launches, and again they will miss out the opportunity because why the ballot number not so ideal. All right, so I've met clients, consumers who have went through every single launches, and until fatigue kicks in, and even during that period, I asked them, so you went through so many ballot projects. Some projects are good numbers, some are not so good. But why did you not make any decisions when the numbers are good, there's still available of units, and the pricing is still within your reach? So how many of you want to make a guess? What's the usual response? All right, if you can guess, just type in the comment below. So the usual response is, we know we want to buy, but we are not sure if this is the one. So my question, my friends, if you are here listening out, I'm not targeting at you. I'm not specifically talking to you. But if you are having that kind of mentality going for ballot, right, then maybe you are wasting a lot of your own time. Okay, to be honest, because first of all, you have not hit your own objective. You haven't planned out what's your property journey going to be, what's your objective going to be, and then you just go projects after projects, and that will make yourself very busy. Okay. So many a times we want to reverse the whole situation is really to kind of take yourself out from this kind of going for balloting kind of exercise, but to sit down, go through a proper review and understand better what's the property plan that you have in mind. Okay, let's review your current situation. What's the plan that you have for the future? What's the objective you want to get out from this next property? And then from there, we will discuss and decide which property project, if let's say you're really going for launches, right? Which one is the one that potentially is ideal for you? Because it cannot be you go to 10 launches, you put in check for 10 properties, and then you get none of the property. It is kind of impossible. So it will only voice down to this. If let's say today you are also in this kind of situation, sorry, I'm not targeting at you. Okay, it's just that potentially I think you have not understand why you want to buy this property in the first place. Okay, so instead of going ballot after ballot, maybe you want to step back, slow things down a little bit, and really get proper advice before you move forward. All right, because it does happen, and maybe you're very free. I also don't know. Okay, but of course, that's what we very much, if we can, we want to help you to get a better understanding about your property plans before you continue. Okay, before I continue. So this is something that I always believe that today, if let's say you are going for the Orie balloting, you may also want to kind of ensure that today you have a very clear in mind. Okay, you know what you're doing, and so that when you are making a decision, when your queue number is out and the numbers is there, there's still available units, you can make a decision quicker. Okay, so let me just give me a second. Let me just share my screen here so that we can kickstart the entire session today. Oops, I think there's some issue with my connecting. Just give me a second. Okay. All right, you all can still hear me, huh? All right, cool. So, right, so like for JY, right, I think his situation is very much like many of you who are kind of contemplating, should you do this, should you do that? And many of us, we are always very overwhelmed by the vast of amount of information on property investment, right? You can go on YouTube, you can read a lot, social media, there's a lot of articles on it. Then there's always the marketing part that makes you very confused, right? So if today you have decided, okay, enough is enough, I want to slow down my process, I want to stop what I'm doing, and I really want to seek help to get a proper guidance, then you can be like JY, who also reached out to us when we introduced him the entire REI method and how you are able to actually look at property from a different perspective. All right, so our one-on-one consultation sessions basically provides him a very clear roadmap of how Singapore's development is for the next 10 years. And it becomes a roadmap, you see, to help you determine what are the criteria, what are the key factors that you should be looking at and to buy a property. And we will be guiding you step by step, like how we have helped JY, backed up with all the research and data. Because today you may not have access to all this. And if you don't have access to all this, you don't understand how can you make a decision, even if the property is of value. Okay, so that's where we come in to help you out in this decision. And many of you, after missing EOK, Chuan, Nava, maybe you are also going, oh, let's go for the next three, which is Orie, Parktown, and Elta. Then you go again and again and again. It may not be the best move, lah. So I really want you guys to understand property purchase or investment. It's not as simple as hoping for the number, then I buy. Okay, there's a lot of thought process behind. Perhaps you have not gone through any of all this. That's why you don't know how to do it. All right, so why not scan the QR code, reach out to us. Let's seek a second opinion and see how we can actually help you make a better decision. Okay, so these are all the consults and time that we will spend on with you if you're coming on board. And at the same time, I also realized there's a lot of homeowners out there. You go ballot after ballot and then nothing seems to be working. But you may have missed out that actually there are also current balance unit launches, right? Maybe they just launched about a year ago or maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago. Their price point are still very attractive. Okay, so you may have missed that out. So that's the reason why I take painfully a lot of time with my team. We came out this guidebook, right? Well, of the 54 new launch condos currently that still have a lot of good units out there that we believe that is on par and there's a lot of potential. So we have compiled this list. And if you want this to be sent to you privately, you can just scan the QR code and then you type in the keyword I want. Okay, you just type in the word I want, and we will be getting in touch with you to send you this so that at least you have some references of price point to know what is happening in the marketplace. What I realized from the last mega launch is that all the buyers kind of only know that 3 properties or 4 properties, but they don't know what are the rest, you see. So my objective is to also help you sniff out all the good purchase out there. And a lot of the projects, because they have already launched, they are very low key one. So you may not even understand and know about those projects. But it doesn't mean those projects are no good. Doesn't mean that the project's prices are not attractive. So this is why we want to kind of put this out. And if you really want to get a second opinion from us on your purchase, your direction, what's your plan, then you can actually reach out to us, scan the QR code, type in I want, and we will be sending it to you. All right. All right. So before I go into the full 2 and 3 bedroom analysis, right, I just want to kind of give you guys some tips, okay, of why is it that sometimes maybe you are one of them that when you keep going for launches and you kind of get yourself stuck and you couldn't make a decision. It's not that you don't want to buy, okay, you want to buy, but you don't have time. You don't have time to understand the property market. You don't have time to really dive deeper into the research of the property prices, the surrounding. Yeah, because you are so busy with your work, you are so busy with your family, and maybe over 1 week you only spend a couple of hours at night, just to kind of fine tune a little bit, read up a little bit. But do you think there's enough information for you to put in $1 million or $2 million worth of capital to select a property? You see, so besides no time, the other aspect that I always see problems with homeowners out there is you don't have the right resources. Not that you don't have resources. Resources online are all information, but you don't have the correct resources to help you get the latest information. Okay, you don't have access into. The next thing is you don't have access into data. You don't have access to live information, and you don't have access to what is actually happening around the area. All right, so you only just look at one perspective, maybe just the property price. Could there be other aspects that you're missing out that you don't know? So these are all very costly mistakes that I want to share with you all, how to avoid. Okay, in order to do well in property, you not only look at all the success stories. Okay, I share with you over my period of doing property since 2009. We learn the most not from the successes, okay, but we learn the most from all the mistakes. Okay, we learn a lot from our clients' mistakes, consumers when they do something wrong. Then we learn that, hey, actually, yeah, if you are doing this, this will happen. The consequences will happen. So my role in everything to my clients is also to share with you what are the common mistakes that always happen that we can actually avoid them. All right. So why I do videos like this is also to kind of put out a warning as a signal, right? That there are mistakes that are always being made during a launch, always. And I can share with you the same mistake will appear again and repeat again and again and again, because there will always be new buyers, new consumers who may jump into this without understanding. So through using this time, I just want to take about 5 minutes just to share with you some of the quick mistakes that you will want to avoid, okay, before you jump into it. If you're worried whether this is right or wrong, whether this is a mistake, then it's good to just reach out to us so that we can guide you through a process that is very clear. Okay. So the very first mistake is you as a buyer, you as a consumer, you don't even know what you want, Okay, maybe you have an idea, oh, I just want to buy a 2 bedroom or a 3 bedroom, but actually, is that the best plan for you? So you're kind of unclear and you are only discussing among yourself, and that's what you want to make a decision. So a lot of times when I realize some of the homeowners, why they reach out to us is also because they may have an idea of, okay, I like to go for path A, okay, my option A kind of direction. And when they reach out to us, they realize when we did it up, we realize, hey, actually, there's also option B, C, and D that they can also consider. So, how many of you agree if today you are thinking of your own direction, you don't know what else is there, then you will move forward with it. But if today you have somebody to bounce off ideas with, right, potentially that this discussion can also come up other perspective, other potential ideas that you never thought before, and they could be better for you and your property plans. Would you like that to happen for you? Right. So this is the reason why today, I always believe today, if you want to do something, especially for property, you must be clear of your direction. Seek ideas, hear from others, what potentially in your situation you can do. Because your finances, your situation are very different. So it cannot be you copy your friend or your parents tell you this, then you, oh, this is the way I do it. It will be completely different. So for us, we have existed hundreds of family homeowners. We have seen all the different computations of how properties are. We'll be able to share with you like some of the real case studies that are pertaining to your situations and what are some of the directions that they go through. You see, so very important. The first thing is unclear. And then some of them, they will always look at budgeting. Oh, I want to buy a 2 million. Then when you go to the show flat, you see, this one higher floor. Okay, I pay another 200,000. Then next thing you know, you pay 2.5 million for a very high floor unit. See, these are all very emotional things, and many people kind of been sucked into it without doing their finances properly. Also, there are a lot of all these um, the non-choosing of units, the emotional traps especially, see. So like for example, this situation, they were in a dilemma because it was a higher floor, but wasn't sure it would justify the extra amount paid, you see. So all these things we have to kind of pre-prepared before even the balloting process. So we bring our clients through a very in-depth process before the balloting and selection. And later on, I'll share with you what are the things that we actually go through with our clients. If today you are really looking to ballot, or maybe you haven't visited a show flat, you wanted some help, reach out to us, we'll be more than happy. Right. So these are some of the emotional traps that we want to get you sorted out before you do anything. Oh, and of course, one of the key thing is they when they queue, they just buy anything. Okay, they buy anything. Why? Because they just want to say, oh, maybe I just buy a one bedroom without balcony. Is it okay? You see, so they were kind of like wondering what is going to happen. You see, another situation is like, oh, what if we decided not to pay the 5% option? So before you buy, right, you already kind of tell yourself, maybe I don't buy. Even if I buy, I don't want it. Then why do you buy in the first place? I also confused. Okay, and a lot of times the buyer's remorse is also something very real. When you're in a pressure cooker situation, be prepared. Okay, you also will just buy something because you see everybody buying. The environment is meant to be that way one. Okay, so if you don't have somebody to help you pull you away, right, then it will be something very risky lah. You don't want to be this kind of situation where you buy already, then you decided to cancel. Okay, why you want to give up your deposit when you can actually have more than enough time to prepare ahead, to plan ahead whether is this the right project that you should go for. You see, so these are all something that we see often, so we want to put it out as a worry concern for everyone. You see some of them will say, well, I'm having some buyer's remorse, so give up already, then what, hunt for another good deal. So what do you mean by a good deal? You see, so these are all the things that potentially you could fall into it before, or you have went through this kind of before and you want to get yourself out. Then you may really want to seriously think about what's your next step. You see, because the buyer's remorse is really very crucial. You see, like this one, uh, put deposit already, then consider to drop because I haven't exercised. Wow, I also sometimes when I receive messages like this, I also like, uh, if you have met me earlier, maybe your decision making process is very different. Or so just some form of key mistakes that you can actually avoid them if you are being guided properly. All right. So moving forward, let me just run through very quickly about Orie and the number of units. I'm sure many of you already know the percentage, how many unit makes. All this you already know. So one of the key thing that one I shared in my previous video, you can go and watch, is I'm quite surprised by the number of percentage that they actually fit in for each unit. All right, so if you want to know what my insights about the number of percentage, right, you can go to the previous video and then just watch the entire thing again. And in that video, I also touched a little bit about the layout comparison. The site plan comparison. Which are some of the better facings, which are the units that you should actually avoid. You see that kind of situation, because all this information is to help you make a better decision, like how we have helped Vince in this process. Okay, so Vince, they came on to us because they wanted to buy a second property for investment, and they visited several new launches, and they also submitted several checks, but did not secure a favorable number. At least you never secure, that means you don't buy. A worry is that you get something good, you buy already, then you give up. Wow, then that one quite sad. Okay. So of course, when Vince reached out, they really wanted help. No, so you've been to multiple launches, you see many show flats, you put your check, but end up you cannot buy anything, and that's why there's a lot of homeowners out there just like this situation. And as we go through the entire consultation, we realize there are a lot of different requirements, you see, and we wanted to guide them step by step, you see. And for us, it's more about coming to terms of your objective, and then we will come out different proposals explaining why there are also other properties, not just about your future ballot launch type properties. There are also others that we can also consider. Then we will discuss together and see, is this ideal in terms of our property plan? Okay, there's no rush to this. You shouldn't be rushing because, oh, the ballot is going to be all finished in 2 to 3 weeks. I want to rush to quickly purchase. Is there, I mean, if you think back, right, why developers only take 2 weeks to preview and then quickly launch already? 2 weeks to make a decision. Eh? Wow, is it a little bit too rush? Crazy, but the marketing, that is part of marketing, if you ask me. Okay, it's part of how it is to move you to move forward, to make a decision quicker also. All right, so that's the reason why usually during launches, we will be extremely busy to help you speed up your process of understanding, okay, and speed up your knowledge about property. So then you will be able to decide, is this something that you really want to move forward with? Also, if today you are still on the fence and you kind of like, okay, should I do this? Should I do that? And you don't know whether buying a new launch, is it a plan? Or maybe even buying a property, is it a plan? Then you may want to scan the QR code because I run online master classes for property investors and homeowners very frequently. So you can also just scan the QR code, type in the keyword master class. Okay, you type in master class. And when I have my next run online live, I will also keep you updated. Okay, so this is something that I want to push it out to you all so that you all can continue learning about property, which is very important. Also, today I'll be covering the 2 and 3 bedroom. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so that you can also watch a lot of my previous videos. And there are a lot of bite-sized bits and pieces of tips, secrets, and all the golden nuggets that I put in my video. So that's why you all must watch throughout. Okay, so do this video also same thing. Okay, you must watch all the way to the end because at the end, I'll be sharing with you all how we are able to guide you through the entire online, the balloting process safely. And it's not just a one-step process, it's a multiple steps process that we're going to need. All right, so if you're seriously looking at, of course, right now for Orie, it's going to be launched soon, and today is the last weekend, so you only have the weekdays to actually go for it. And if you have not visited and you really seriously want to understand whether Orie is right for you for purchase, well, do scan the QR code and reach out to us, and we can help you make an appointment to go down and understand better. All right. So for 2 bedrooms, right? There are different layouts. Okay, so I just want to share with you a little bit about the two. Let me show you the 2 bed, 1 bath configuration. Okay, 2 bed, 1 bath configuration. So the interesting part for this layout is that usually a lot of I think for the past couple of years, there's always this saying in the marketplace. Oh, I mean, cannot buy a 2 bed, 1 bath. I should just go for a 2 bed, 2 bath kind of configuration. Nothing wrong with that statement. And it also depends on how the 2 bed, 1 bath is being structured. Okay, how the layout is. Okay, so many people always say, 2 bed, 2 bath is the most ideal choice. All right, but this is different for all different projects. And you cannot just look at this project and say that, okay, I go for 2 bed, 2 bath, because you still have to compare it with surrounding unit types when it comes to research. You cannot just look at this. All right, so yes, there's this fundamental, everybody is saying, oh, I buy 2 bed, 2 bath safer, I can rent it out to bigger groups of audience, I can sell it to a bigger groups of audience. But it doesn't mean that 2 bed, 1 bath has lost its perspective, okay, especially for Orie. So let me explain to you all a little bit more. So why I say Orie 2 bed, 1 bath can consider. Okay, so let me share with you why. And it opens up some of your choices. And why? Because the 2 bed, there's actually a lot of units. So if you today, based on your quantum, you can go for 2 bed. That means you can go for 2 bed, 1 bath, 2 bed, 2 bath, 2 bed, 2 bath plus study. Even the dual key, you can actually explore, but depending on your affordability, again. All right. So why 2 bed, 1 bath can consider in this? Because today, right, later on we'll do some comparison, but I just want to give you some insights about the 2 bed, 1 bath, which is the far left. So it's very interesting that you are able to get a 2 bed, 1 bath with a tuck-in kitchen. This is the very first thing that you usually don't get. All right, you usually get a countertop kind of kitchen, right? So this is something that I believe is going to be a big draw. So it acts like a 2 bed, 2 bath, but of course without 1 bath. So is this going to be a huge deterring for two bed one bath? The other consideration I see is that this two bed one bath is structured as a dumbbell unit. So we all know dumbbell unit means what? Means you have more space. Okay, there's no corridor. So even though it's a 592 square feet, the size is very, very comfortable. And for a configuration like this, you are not going to have like major loss of space. Okay, so this is very important. So then, of course, later on, then you'll be saying that, hey, if you want to get a two bed one bath, uh, is it better for me to get a one bed plus study? You know, that kind of situation. Because if you consider that a one plus study versus a two bed one bath, are they almost similar? You see, so that is where the price comparison comes in. So you have, if you are looking at the one plus study, you want to understand my thoughts about one plus study, you can go and check out my previous video. I also talk about two bed one bath. The one bed plus study. Because can that act as a two bed one bath is very important, because if that is a possibility, then will two bed one bath be a better purchase or not so good? Then also this is all about strategy when it comes, because we will need to look at the price jump. Okay, the price jump later on. All right, so of course we will be doing more research on for you on a one-on-one basis when we know about a little bit more about your current situation of finances to advise you which type of property we should go for. All right, so just the other day, I was also advising a client. They originally wanted a two bed. Okay, but after going through a discussion, my suggestion to them was at least you can go for a two bed plus study or even a three bedroom, because they do have the funds for it, but they do not see the need to have a three bedroom example. So after discussion, we show certain facts and research and data. At the end of the day, they realize actually the two bed plus study and the three bedroom does make more sense. Okay, not only just in finances, but in terms of your exit strategy. So there are many computations that we must explore before you make a decision. If not, it's very easy, right? No need agent already. You just go and buy yourself, you just buy what you want. So our role is to provide this extra perspective. Then we make a better decision together. So would you like that before you make a multi-million kind of purchase? Easy. So this is something interesting. So if today you do this comparison, then you'll be able to kind of study a little bit more of what can be done. Okay, so let us do a kind of similar comparison between the two bed one bath and the two bed two bath configuration. All right, so now let's study this step side by side. Okay, yeah, so side by side, then of course, if you can, or depending on the affordability, then you may want to stretch yourself a little bit to get a proper two bed, two bath configuration. All right, but from a one bed to a one bed plus study, you can stretch it to a two bed one bath. Then sometimes people will say that, hey, if I can get a two bed one bath, then I should just go for a two bed two bath. So it all depends on the price jump per type of unit. All right, so one thing I always share, the fundamental is you don't want to cross a certain comfort of your price point, depending on your age, depending on which life stage are you at, and your affordability. So all these things are where we advise you. We are not saying that you shouldn't increase your budget or stretch yourself a little bit, but there are some age group, some situation that I will suggest against if you really want to stretch. Or this afternoon, I just had a client discussion also. I realized for them to increase from the 2 million, 2 million to stretch it to 2.5 million, it is a little bit tough. Okay, not based on their affordability, they can afford. Okay, but based on other factors, I advise them against to increase the budget. Okay, so there are many factors that we can share with you depending on the situation. All right, so it's very rare if you start looking at this kind of situation where the two bed plus study, okay, and the two bed situation. All right. So one key thing, if you compare the one plus study and the two bed plus study, do you see a huge difference? Okay, so of course you can stretch that. If you the left side is the one plus study, then now if you can stretch yourself to become a two bed one bath perspective, Why? Because it's very rare, right, that you can get a tuck-in kitchen for 2 bed, 1 bath. That's one, I shared just now. But you get a window. How many times do you get a 2 bedroom with window nowadays? Oh, so this is something that I find why I say 2 bed, 1 bath can even consider. Okay, from an investment perspective also lah, because it's very rare. And with these two, right, the additional difference is only about 75 square feet. Okay, 75 square feet, you get a proper kitchen. Okay, you get a proper dining area. Okay, and you get a second room. Not bad lah for the additional 75 square feet, depending on prices again. So don't just shy away from a 2 bed, 1 bath configuration, because this layout, if you ask me, is worth to consider. Okay, very worth to consider. And if you work it out, right, the average 1 plus study renter, okay, the renter should be about maybe 3,000, 3,005 range, okay, for the 1 plus study, 3K to 3.5K, okay, in, of course, Toa Payoh area lah. So it works out to, if let's say we're basing on $2,500 per square foot on average, it works out to maybe about 1.3 million, and your yield should be about 3.2%, okay, for renter, right? So with 75 square feet more, it means that you are maybe based on the same per square foot 2005, right? Then your size and the top up amount is about 100 and maybe 88,000 thereabout. Okay, with the size different. And with this additional 188,000, you can increase your rent to maybe even 3,008 to even 3,009. Okay, so why not? Then that's where we will see how the difference of pricing is, and does it justify for us to pay the extra? Because 188,000 in loan perspective, in your down payment, in your mortgage, is not going to be too much of a difference. But your exit could make some differences, especially if the growth of a property, we always also tend to also go for a bigger size unit if possible lah, you see. So that is how we can consider for your future gain. And that's why today, if you don't have all this information, you may select the wrong property just based on your ballot number and what you want. All right, are you guys learning? If you guys learning, right, just give me a shout out lah. Also, I also don't know how many of you are here. I'm just staring at you at the same time. All right, so these are some very important comparison that we must do. Okay, we must do. So then there's also some people will share that, oh no, we cannot buy 2 bed, 1 bath because their performance are always no good. You see, how many of you agree? All right, some of you say, oh no, 2 bed, 2 bath easier to sell. No doubt, if you ask me from a perspective of a buyer, if they can, of course, they will go for the 2 bed, 2 bath. But do you agree there are also buyers who cannot afford the 2 bed, 2 bath? Just like you, if you cannot afford the 2 bed, 2 bath to purchase, you just buy a 2 bed, 1 bath. So in future, when you sell, there will also be this group of buyers who they cannot stretch themselves to 2 bed, 2 bath already, although that's ideally what they want. They could also settle for 2 bed, 1 bath. But is it a myth to say that 2 bed, 1 bath cannot grow in value? It won't make money. So let us study our younger comparable project nearby, which is Gem Residences. All right, they are the younger properties that we can use it as a guide, like as a reference point. So if you look at Gem Residences, right, the 2 bed, 2 bath, of course, their margin, if you can look at it, they actually make more lah, or all the 6, 7, 8 square feet, they make more in terms of their profits. But the 2 bed, 1 bath, in also 592 square feet, okay in terms of the margin. Of course, it will be lesser because the square foot size is smaller, right? But we're not saying that it will be a huge difference, like you totally don't make money out from it. That will be quite impossible. So that's why today selection of units is important. And Orie, take note that because this is a 40-story kind of property, then one of the major decisions you also need to make is that, if I go in from a investment perspective, when it go higher floor, should I go for it? Should I pay that kind of premium? So these are all things can be more realized, or we have a more clarity when the prices are out during the selection process. So if you have not done it, you may want to reach out to us and we can arrange so that you can actually place a ballot check for it. Okay, so there are many configurations for two bed, two bath. So you have the normal dumbbell unit. Okay, the dumbbell unit, let me just, yeah, so this is the normal two bed, two bath. Okay, let me just show you the, so this is the normal two bed, two bath. Okay, it's a dumbbell stack, one is stack 11. So the thing is, you can see they are also tucked in. Okay, they are tucked in. So the difference between this dumbbell unit and a two bed, one bath, this is two bed, one bath, this is two bed, two bath. Okay, you can see the tuck-in kitchen don't have window. Okay, don't have window. So this is the typical two bed that we always are used to it. So today, if you are buying for two bed, you have to accept the fact that won't have window. But two bed, one bath have. Wow, now confused, don't know which one to choose. Or it still runs down based on pricing. All right, so the next layout that they have is, of course, the traditional uh, two bed, two bath, okay, where everything is stuck in one side. So although the size is a little bit bigger, we also have to understand that because there's a longer corridor here, that it becomes part of your space. So again, these two configuration, there's no which one is better because they are all two bed, two bath. It all still boils down to the pricing of that extra premium, to how to justify that premium. Okay, because they all function the same way, they can do different things. All right, very important for this. All right, so then of course you have the show flat unit, which is the biggest two bed, two bath plus study. Okay, so this is a two bed, two bath plus study. So this type of layout has been extremely popular since about a year and a half ago. Why? Because some of them, they double this up as like a mini super extra compact three bedroom. Because the study right now is not just a, you cannot even put anything. Some of this study space that you can actually put in quite a comfortable, even a single bed, or with storages and everything. So it has a dual function, and that's the reason why I think developer also put that as a show flat, so that they can show you the possibility of this development of this two bed, two bath plus study. So out of all the two beds, if let's say today your price point that you're looking at, you have from 1.4 range all the way to maybe even 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 million range, I think you have quite a lot of choices that you can go for. I'm not so concerned. It's just that, are you particular about, oh, I must have a two bed, two bath, that kind of configuration? If not, from a layout perspective, I believe the two beds are done very comfortably. It's built to sell. Okay, it's built to sell for people to accept. Of course, the dream case, if you ask me, everything is starting from $2,500 per square foot onwards. Again, is starting from onwards. So I believe for maybe the smaller, the two bed, one bath, starting pricing should be about 1.48 million onwards. Okay, lowest floor. Okay, the two bed, two bath should be averaging about 1.165 million. And then for the two bed, two bath plus study should be about 1.695 million. So it really depends on which floor level that we are going for. Okay, very important. So one key thing that we must understand is that today, the which is the top choice, if you ask me. All right, sorry, I think I read wrongly. 1.9, 1.69 is the bigger one. If not, how come the two bed, two bath plus study so cheap? All right, because two bed, two bath plus study is a bigger unit, is a different configuration. Of course, if you use that to multiply for your 2005 per square foot, quite easy to understand. Or you will be easily also close to, depending on the floor level that you're going for. Okay, depending on the floor level that you're going for. And so my top choice, if you ask me, based on this kind of price point, which is my top choice. And so the key thing is that the difference in terms of pricing, if you talk about starting pricing, the difference is only about 135,000 to from a one bed to the two bed is only about 135,000 different. All right. But if you talk about the two bed, one bath conventional, which is okay, I put it ABC, easier to see. Okay. So if you use the two bed, one bath difference to your two bed, two bath difference B to A, right? The difference, is it worth for you to pay that 200 and over thousand for that one extra bathroom? okay, between A and B. Yeah. See, so this is where we need to justify. Okay, we need to justify, is it worth, because from just now when we show, right, so from a one bed plus study to a two bed one bath, we are topping up maybe about 188,000 more. You see, so that is a quantum. But right now, if today you are going from a two bed one bath to a two bed two bath, the difference is, let's say we just using the starting pricing 1.165 to 1.48 million. It's about 135,000 ma, you see. So the jump here is about 135,000. Is it worth? Is it worth to pay this extra? Then from the two bed one bath, you jump to a two bed two bath conventional. Okay, the difference is about 215,000. So we also need to justify which one is a better extra premium that we pay. Will you want to pay 135,000 or do you want to go for 215,000? So when we analyze, of course, this is just based on the flat per square foot of about $2,500. So different floor level also got different premium. Different facing also got different premium. That's where we will do more comparison to help you. So if you ask me based on the pricing in this situation, then I will, of course, based on this, I believe if you're considering two bed, one bath A, you should go for B to see whether you can afford. All right. If you are only having the quantum of two bed, one bath, which is A, to jump it to C, I believe the quantum is a little bit too much. So you must be a little bit careful when you analyze some of these developments. So if you find that this is useful, do subscribe and like the channel, like the video, so that we can do more for you all or in future. But of course, this is just based on the starting price from $2,500. Okay, but let us just do a quick summary, right? That is the lowest floor you may not want, or due to your Q number you may not get. So I'm more down to earth. I say that let's use average $2,700 per square foot so that you can get at least a mid floor onwards kind of pricing. So the pricing for the two bed one bath will come to about maybe about 1.598 million. Okay, and then the two bed two bath will come to about 1.744, and the conventional layout will be about 1.83 million. You see, so this gives you a good gauge from a $2,500 per square foot. Now you look at $2,700 per square foot. What is the quantum that you can absorb or not? Also, this is important. So from a pure investment per se, okay, my top choice is two bed one bath. Okay, go for the two bed one bath. Pure investment, no need to worry. But if you are looking at maybe for own stay, you also want some capital in, I think quite easy to guess is the two bed plus study or for own stay. But depending on your ballot number, not that the two bed, two bath cannot accept, but it also depends on pricing, based on your affordability, and whether there are available units for you to still choose or to decide better. So key thing is still based on price. Is it acceptable? All right, in this kind of pricing. So the question is, this kind of pricing, is it acceptable in Orie, in the RCR region? Is it too high to people to enter for you all to buy? So this is also where we need to use this as a guideline to determine, in comparison to other developments, right, how do we stand out in terms of pricing? Okay, so let us take a look at the difference. So the last similar configuration for this two bed, right, is I use Grand Number as a guideline, also very close to the MRT. And of course, for Grand Number is under the pre-harmonization. Also, their space, they include the aircon latch. And the aircon latch is really 4 square meter. So when we break it down, actually, the difference is not going to be too much in terms of harmonization. So the Orie and Grand Number in terms of space, actually you do get a little bit, at the end of the day, is very similar. And that's why there's a lot of people who keep arguing about harmonization, prices shouldn't be this way. But actually I can tell you the harmonization thing has nothing to do with price, one. Okay, it has nothing to do with price. It's just the way how it's being calculated for the space. That's all. All right. So don't bite on this and be say that, oh, because harmonization, I should be buying cheaper. It's not supposed to be that way. Or when you calculate left to right, right to left, it will come back to almost the same. Because why? Because developer buy the land, they build, construct, they still have an X amount of profits they want to make, then that's the money they transfer back to you. Lor. That's all. So let's look at more macro stuff that is more important. And but when we do comparison of this, is you must understand in Grand Number for a pre-harmonization project that is 58 square meter versus Orie about 55 square meters, is only a 3 square meters different. But Grand Number people can accept buying at 1.98 million, and whatever information that we pull out is one of the latest transactions. Okay, we don't use past too long 1 year data. These are all the latest. For a 667 square feet, people are willing to pay up to 2 million already. All right, why I use Grand Number? Because Grand Number also RCM, you see. So its location too far off, no, it's also quite comparable to Orie, quite similar. They have their own vibes, East Side versus Toa Payoh, or they have their own fancy, if you ask me. So of course, then we start seeing that if today people can accept Grand Number at 1.9 million. So then that gives you a gauge that if let's say today, what if let's say for Orie, they are 2 bed, 1 bath, if they are able to starting from a 1.48, and even if you go for the mid-floor unit, you are able to get it with maybe about 1.6 million range plus minus, and go the highest floor, you can go for 1.7. Is it still worth to even consider? You see, so this is where we have a better understanding. Then of course, if you start comparing the 2 bed, okay, 2 bed, 2 bath, and I'm pulling out some of the newer projects. Why I want to use the latest launch as a guideline. So Chuan Park, okay, Chuan Park was 700 square feet. The Orie is going to be having a 646 square feet. Same thing, Orie is going to be the harmonization, so not including aircon ledge. But if you see the difference in terms of their end result of their space, it's actually not going to be too much difference. Okay, it's still very sizable. Okay, in terms of the living and kitchen, and the bedrooms, it's not like because of the harmonization, wow, your bedroom suddenly cannot put in a queen bed. It's not. But there will be a difference in terms of pricing. Why? Because people can accept a 2 bed, 2 bath, also about close to 2 million for a 700 square feet unit. So this is also the confusion I'm seeing in the marketplace, where a lot of the consumers are emphasizing on the wrong things, or maybe because there's wrong information online that you absorb and then you kind of confuse yourself. It's always the same thing, right? If you never understand it, you confuse, then you worry. Then when you worry, you don't dare to do anything. Also, it's usually that kind of situation. So if you are not so sure about this, get clarity, get people to kind of share with you a little bit more to understand. So just again, harmonization has nothing to do with your pricing. Right? The pricing is always like that. Also, it's the same. So today, if you can accept Trump Park for 1.92 million, Trump Park is OCR. Okay. Then if Orie pricing for a 2 bed, 2 bath, let's say we talk about mid-floor, okay, mid-floor onwards, perhaps launching at about $2,700 per square foot. You can buy at maybe about 1.744. Even if I say we go for a conventional layout, it also about 1.7, 1.8 million. Is it cheaper? Because you're buying RCR, okay, MRT almost the same. You see, so that's why these are all the key things that we must understand and do some comparison on. So if we start comparing more, even for Sora, size-wise, it's quite different. But people can accept 1.8 over million in Jurong West. Of course, size big lah, because why? It's pre-harmonization ma. But now Orie, you get a RCR location, you can pay no need 1.83 million for a mid-floor, high floor, can consider, right? Or for $2,700 per square foot. If lah, okay, of course I calculated that back based on a guideline. You'll be able to get, let's say, a conventional layout at 1.8 plus because it's bigger. You see. So these are all some of the the kind of thing that you must do more comparison about. So let me give you another example how the harmonization effect is helping you. So even for the Orie, this is the 2 bed plus study configuration. Okay, 2 bed plus study. Of course, Chuan Park, the study configuration is a bit different now. Oh, so it's not your typical 2 bed plus study configuration. But if you look at it, at the end of the day, the bedroom are actually bigger. You see, of course, you have a little bit minus here and there, but it's not so crazy that you suddenly your study becomes just a open area. You see, it is not as drastic as that. So that's where the confusion is, and that's the reason why when I do videos like this, it helps you all get a better understanding. And for Chuan Park, for the 2+ study, people are buying at how much? Oh, 2 over billion, already over 2 million budget. You see, and people still buy lah. So whether it's the right move or not, that one I leave to you all to acknowledge, or in case anybody who buy all this property really feel a little bit painful. Okay, nothing wrong lah, because buy already means buy already lah. So but what we want to do is we want to make sure that we done enough homework beforehand. Or so if let's say a 2 bed plus study onwards, hey, can we accept if let's say the price point starting from about 1.8 million onwards, you see? So these are all the key things that we want to kind of acknowledge first. So when we are doing our research, then we will be able to see how to decide how to buy a property. Because the common question I always get is, hey, is it worth to buy this pricing at this kind of price, this kind of high floor or this kind of facing? See, so that's why we want to go through with you all in terms of the what do you call it? When the pricing comes out, how are we able to handle this? So does it make any difference in terms of the exit if I go higher floor and I pay a premium? Does it make any difference? So let's settle this once and for all. So what I'm going to show you is an example. Okay, but does it spells for all projects? It does not. Okay, these are just different because there are different factors that affect the price jump, the pricing. Should I go for higher floor? But if I did some research and I tried to find the closest comparison in terms of projects, that is a RCR, is a high floor development, to do some comparison. The main question we want to address here is paying premium making, that means if I go for higher floor, all right, is that premium going to help me make a huge exit difference? Okay, so a lot of people say that, hey, I buy higher floor, better view, I'm blocked. Hey, that means next time when I buy, I can command a better selling price, correct? But also take note that you're also paying a premium when you buy. So apple to apple, we want to do some comparison. Also, let us use Ultra. Okay, Ultra is a 2 bedroom. Of course, very near to MRT. I just came from there. Okay, all right. So if you look at this, if we use the same size as a bench as a equation, right? So the key thing is that we always have this acknowledgement that, wow, if I go for higher floor, then my unit gap should be very, very different. So today you are paying 10 to 40, 27 floor, about 17 floor difference, right? And your price gap is about 8.5%. Your profits, did it really make huge difference or not? Okay. All right. So your healthy profit, I mean, they're all making profits, but you are paying about 8.5%. Is it okay to pay this 8.5%? So this, if you calculate based on this per floor, right, it's about maybe 0.5% increase per floor, about 0.5%. Is it acceptable? Now that you can see the profit. Of course, this is a reference and example. It's just a guideline. It's not like die every property will be like this. Like I say, it consists of many different factors. But I just want to use some of all these data points to help you make better decision. Okay. Then, of course, you have the Sterling residences, which is also in RCR, and it also gives you a better indication. So with this, then you can understand that, hey, today with this jump, right? So we have the 12th floor all the way to the 34th floor. Okay. Also paying about 8.5% in terms of PSF. But if you see the jump in terms of the profits, is it justifiable? And if we work out to this ranging about maybe 0.5 increase, 0.3 increase per floor, is it acceptable? So what will the floor jump be for Orie? You ask me, I also don't know. Nobody know. Okay, but I only during the day then when the prices are released, then we will be able to do this kind of benchmarking. But I believe the low floor and the mid floor prices, to be honest, will not be too much different. Okay, because no view, no view, facing pool, facing the road, you see the HDB block. So it's not going to be too much of a jump. Okay, it's the normal maybe loading jump that we are going to see. But when it crosses the 20th floor onwards, I believe the jump will be more significant, more obvious. Okay, And so whatever I'm giving you is more of a guide, like a 0.3% to 0.5% jump per floor to its difference of profits. Because 10 floor is already how many percent you must calculate, but 5%, you see. So then will it be worth to fork out, let's say above 20th floor? How do I justify the 20th floor, let's say for example, to the 35th floor? How much should I be looking at? So this guideline from 0.3 to 0.5 can give you some benchmarking. And of course, if you are somebody who desire the high floor, die must have the high floor, because I cannot see buildings one. You got a phobia of buildings, you must go high floor, then maybe you will want to fork out a huge premium on it. Okay, so you all guys stay on. All right, if you guys are learning something, stay on, because later on we'll be going into the ever popular 3-bedroom, and most importantly, who will be your buyers in future when you intend to exit for the 3-bedroom. All right, so is the 3-bedroom price going to be exorbitant? Because interestingly, the developer never built a 3-bedroom show flat, and why? Okay, so we're going to address some of all these question marks, or some questions that I myself also guessing. All right, so like for example, for ASK, right? So for her or for him, basically, he also been looking to buy an investment property, but lack the knowledge, confidence, and assurance of entering until when they met us. And these are all just very recent, which is in December. Okay, so they approached us for a property review, and very much is because they align the philosophy of data driven. Okay, we're not buying vegetables in market. We are really analyzing and trying to keep our risk as low as possible. We cannot help you to lower total no risk. Okay, whoever says I can risk free, you better run far away. Okay, we can lower down the risk as much as we can, but we cannot have zero risk. Okay, that's where we come in. So it was the December period. I was traveling, but so I actually there was a time difference because I was in Europe, right? But of course, I also understand that today, by delaying your purchase, you are losing opportunities. So even while I'm traveling in Europe, with my family, I woke up at 4 a.m. to go through a 3-hour session with them so that they can understand about the REI methodology, the strategies behind how to find a property, the transformation, and buying at the right entry price. So this is the commitment, the responsibility that we have for every single one of you, that even while I'm traveling, I believe that if, because I'm traveling and you miss out such a good deal, right? I also don't feel good, lah, to be honest. So since we are on board of this together, then I will do my very best within what we can, do some adjustments. So of course, I'm not in Singapore. We do have my team to help to go through it, and we research the right property to recommend. All right, we go through the details, ensuring that the investment is safe, and most importantly is the finances. Okay, if your finances is too stretched, I will advise you against it. That kind of situation. All right, so then after that, they went on with my partner. We shortlisted 2 projects, and just after one viewing, very confidently enough to go ahead and make the decision. So the quick decision, right, is not like rushing you to buy that. It's not. It's just that we compress this entire decision making process, right, so that you understand so well, you are very confident to make the decision, just like ASK. All right. So the testament of them making a decision is the trust and the confidence they have. Right. And this is all our clients. If you go to my Google review, you will see that every single one of them are saying the same thing, because we're not here for a short haul. Okay, we are here for a long run together with you. And I've been in this, doing this more than 15 years. Our clients are repeat clients. They keep coming back. They keep referring because of the testament that we are doing. So how many of you would like to have the same experience when you're going through a war zone like balloting, or whether you're going through a balloting, or whether you're buying a property under whether it's a resale or existing new launches, would you like to have that same experience? So this is particularly for those, if let's say today you are already intending to go for the balloting, whether it's for Orie, whether maybe you're looking at Parktown, maybe you're looking at the future Elta, all these other future developments. Let me share with you very quickly how is the experience that you get from us. All right, we are unlike other people who just, what you want based on budget, based on unit, let's go and buy. Okay, there's a lot more research that we do to help you and give you a better experience. So the very first thing that we do, right, is the preparation for balloting. Okay, this is quite a norm, meaning we will go down, we will understand what the project is about. Then we will prepare your check, all these things for submission. But that is the easy way. Okay, we also want to make sure that your finances are all in order, because why? We want to make sure your finances, affordability. There are four saves that I always do for my clients whenever we calculate your finances. Without this four save, I rather you don't buy property, because it's going to put in a lot of stress on you. And when it's stressful on you, it's also stressful on me. Okay, so it's a selfish reason why we want to make sure all these are intact. Okay, we are not saying that you don't know how to calculate, but there may be certain gaps that you have not considered before. We want to share with you as well. So once you have decided on which project, of course, you don't need to have a specific unit because we don't know, man. All right, then that's where the balloting day flow. So prior to the selection, we will already have gone through at least 2 to 3 sessions with you to make sure that you understand what is the plan, what is the game plan like, which unit are we going for, what is the price point, where's the limitations that we're going to go for. Because the last thing we want is when you're there and then you're being pressured to keep buying higher and higher pricing. Okay, we will pull you away. Okay, we have walk away prices for all the units that we find that the PSF or even the quantum is out of reach. Or should we say, in comparison to the market, in comparison to the surrounding, it does not justify. All right, then we will pull you away. Or but chances are you will still say, I want to buy, I want to buy now. But we will do our very best to guide you through why we shouldn't even enter in the first place. Okay, so that's where we will provide you real updates until the selection day, because you'll be given a ballot number. Then after that, the selection process. So one key thing that we will do a lot beforehand is the expectations and backup choices. So it cannot be the only one unit you want, and then that's the one that you get, because balloting depends on what's your queue number. So then we will also have different set of expectations. If a certain floor level, certain facing, if it reaches a certain price point, are we going to walk away? Okay, all these things are to help you avoid the emotional traps. Okay, these are all very important. And this is only just one part of it. Because why? Because there's a lot of situations that will happen. Okay, our role is not only just to help you secure a property in this project. Could there also be other selections that you missed out? You is under the radar kind, that if we find that these are all properties that we can recommend, we will also introduce to you to see how it aligns with your property objective. All right, so during the selection of the units, of course, we will have a unit prioritization strategy lah, depending on which is the one that we most favored and if our balloting number is good. Then we will start comparing prices, the higher floor, lower floor unit facing, to see if the price point is acceptable based on your affordability. Then we will also start comparing the stack, the facing and everything else. So this is generally what is going to happen pre-selection day, usually. So we will guide you through this process. So it's not just you give me a budget, you give me what you like, you like the higher floor, okay lor, wait for the queue number. We actually prepare more things together beforehand with you. So what's next after you purchase? Let's say you buy something. We don't stop there lah. So after you purchase, the next set of things is we will do a post-purchase follow-up. We will recap all the paperwork, making sure everything is properly. And that's where the real timeline starts, because we will have to help you to organize the law firms, your bankers, to get you the best experience possible. And if we will help you to coordinate a lot of all these things, because you're busy with your work, right? And you have family time. So we want to tell you at which stage do you need to take action. So you will follow it through with our timeline. So that is one of the key important parts that we need to know. Then of course, during construction phase, it will take 2 to 3 years, 4 years sometimes. That's where we'll give you project updates. We will tell you, hey, your construction phase is this. And then if let's say we get the payment schedule, we will also send it to you, and we will monitor the timeline a little bit. Okay, because we will have always a first checkpoint, which is what? The 3 years SSD. That will be the first checkpoint that we will see what is happening to your property. And that 3 years, we will continuously update you of the progress. And upon TOP, this is not the end that you see with us, because our business with you is long term. We will also assist you with the key collection and provide you a complimentary defect check that will help you keep stickers inside the development. Okay, so this is where it's very fun because our naked eyes cannot see a lot of stuff. So we actually engage professionals to do on your behalf, because you're our clients, right? So we want to give you the value added service that we have professionals to help you check for defects of a development. In Singapore, no matter you are buying the high-end top developer, there will still be defects that need to be highlighted. So this is part of our services to continue with you. And during that time, that's where we will also do a property review to see are there any changes in plans that's going on, okay, going on, and what are we trying to achieve. So that's why when we are going through a balloting process, there's a lot of things that we cover, not just about buying or this floor, that floor. There's a lot more things that we cover. And again, if let's say today you are reaching out, you're looking for balloting and you wanted to kind of explore and seek a second opinion, you can type in I want, because we have actually compiled a e-guide of the other 54 launches with good selection, good selection of units available. So you can just scan the QR code, type in I want, and we'll send it to you. Okay, and if you are interested in attending my masterclass that I hold it regularly, you can also type in masterclass. Okay, and when I have my sessions, I will update you, my team will update you when the session is that you can register in. All right, so what we are doing here is really to kind of give you the assurance that today buying property is no longer guessing. You don't need to guess your way to property. You have somebody who can guide you with the expertise, with the case studies that we have, and the number of clients that we've dealt with. We know what we are doing. The question is, do you have somebody who can help you, give you the insights, give you a different perspective of things, so that you can have a second opinion before you make any decision? All right, so this is very important. You can scan the QR code and we will be more than happy to guide you through. So let's go into the popular three-bedroom. Wow, three-bedroom, there's four layouts actually, four layout here. Yeah, four layouts here. And one of the key thing is that today you want to listen carefully, because there's no show flat for three-bedroom. Are you surprised? Okay, no show flat. So I think this could be the first time developer don't build a three-bedroom. So I got two thoughts. Either they are very confident that the three-bedroom sure got buyers, and they're very confident about layout, or they fill in the blanks. Okay, up to us to decide. Okay, but let us study this four layouts a little bit. Of course, the type 2C, C2 and C2A. So let's just categorize them as A, B, C, or easier. Also, for the B layout, they are typically the same. So I'm just going to highlight a little bit of what's the difference. Okay, so let's study A. Okay, so A, the key thing is that this is a very rare three-bedroom dumbbell unit. Okay, very rare three-bedroom. So the advantage of this, if I can remember, I think only Hugh Heaven. Hugh Heaven Compact, you have a three-bedroom dumbbell unit. Okay. Advantage is, of course, no wastage of space. But at the same time, you don't get much privacy, because it's going to be like not much like it's similar to a two-bed, two-bath, right? You see, except that instead of a study, you now get a proper bedroom. Also, there's a few difference here. Uh, so one key thing is that today you're also getting your tuck-in kitchen, and one aspect that you can see for this compact is that this is a glass. Okay, the green color one is a glass. Okay, so this layout 850 square feet. The kitchen, you have a glass wall which allows sunlight to come in, and for this, the advantages is you get a store. Okay, a storeroom here. So everybody is complaining about compact, no storeroom. So now they give you storeroom lah. Also, they are able to reconfigure the entire layout very efficiently with this. So I think this is a kudos to the developer. Okay, that they are able to do this properly. And of course, if you ask me, the not so good thing is there's no window lah. Or bathroom no window, kitchen no window. Is this a concern? I don't know. Okay, depends on every individual. So sometimes people will say that, oh, nah, three-bedroom must have a toilet, must have kitchen, and must have the window. But I don't see this as much of an issue, because as I can understand, the the way they lay out, because of the building construction, right? They have to do it this way, because with or without window, if you ask me, is not the main key point. Pricing is still is. All right. So pricing for entry is still important. All right. So it ranging from 2.1 million all the way, right? So if your ballot queue number is up and they only left with a few, I think you will still go for the no window one, because price point, you see. Because it can range quite long, right? Quite big, right? Because they go from 850 square feet then it jumped to 1,023 square feet already. So you must also be able to digest in terms of the overall quantum. You see, so that is why you need to understand a little bit better, because even though there may be some things that I don't like. Okay, so another thing to take note of, you must also know here is that the third bedroom also got a window. Okay, but don't be too happy about this window. Okay, it's a window to allow ventilation, but there's no view one. Okay, there's totally no view for this, because you're facing another block's back. Okay, so this is how they have configured it. All right, so it's kind of a in between block kind of situation. So you get a window, but you just don't get view. So the view is still from the master room and the first common room. Okay, so the second layout, of course, this is definitely the more traditional layout where all the views all are facing uh, one side. Okay, so there's no bedroom that is being blocked by something else. So what is the difference between these two? Not much difference. Is only, let me just point it out, your entrance. Okay, the entrance for these two, one is slightly wider, one is slightly narrower, that's all. Or in terms of configuration, I think there's nothing much you can fault about this layout. Okay, very comfortable space where you have your own designated dining area, because it's an enclosed kitchen. So you have your enclosed kitchen, you have your yard, you have your WC, everything is properly done for a 3 bedroom configuration. Also, I think this is a layout that moving forward, we are going to see more developers doing this, and I think that's the reason why they don't build the show flat lah. Because it's like everybody may have already seen this. This is something that everybody can accept. So you cannot say you don't accept. All right. The only the only difference is the 3 bedroom. This one comes with a dual key. Okay, a 3 bedroom dual key. If you have not known, Gem residences have a triple key. So very different. But dual key, I think is nothing. What do you call it? It's not new in the market. Okay, Nava Group also have their dual key configuration. All right, so dual key meaning you are buying a 3 bedroom, but 1 bedroom by itself, okay, like this, okay, is a 1 bedroom where they have their own pantry, not I mean a kitchen, toilet, they have their own access, and then you have another side which is a 2 bedroom or a proper 2 bed 2 bath configuration. So this is of course very helpful for those, if let's say today you already exhaust your one name for another property and you're buying another one yourself, and you want to have like a two property kind of thing, then dual key you can purchase, because you can stay in one and then you can rent out the other one, or you can rent out both at the cost of without ABSD. Or but the downside is of course dual key, will it be higher pricing? Yes, and it will be higher pricing due to the size. So again, it really depends on how the dual key pricing are like versus the normal 3 bedroom configuration. We will determine, is it worth to buy the dual key, right? So, but one thing to take note for dual key, sometimes we may have this thought like, oh, today if I buy a dual key, in future, if I don't want to rent already, I can turn it into a proper 3 bedroom. Okay, so this is what a lot of people are always thinking, and then they will say that, oh, then I will break this, break that, so that it can become a bigger unit. So unfortunately for this dual key, they cannot break anything because the household shelter is in front, in the middle. So you cannot say I want to take out the household shelter and then become one proper area. For this layout, you cannot. So this is something you need to consider. That means if you want to split it into two, then it will have to be split into two. And this is ideal for what kind of family? A family where maybe you have uh, older folks that you want them to take care, and it's near to you, so it's easier to look after that kind of situation. And then the elder folks will be staying in that studio area. So these are all configuration. But then if you are a family of too many people, can the 2 bed 2 bath sustain your living lifestyle lah? So that's also another thing that we have to take note of. Okay, so these are some of the key things. The rest of a configuration are not too much of a different. Okay, so the moment when you go to 1023 and 1130 for the dual key, then all the typical 3 bedroom configuration things you will have. Also, you don't need to worry too much. So again, we want to start looking at pricing. So if we are talking about the general 1023 size, right? And if let's say prices wise is starting from about 1.2 Let's us use the guideline. Okay, using this, let's say they start off maybe 2,550 per square foot, lah, example. Lah. So which means the Orie, right, starting pricing is about 2.6 million onwards. Okay, 2.6 million. So if we do a comparison to Chuan Park prices already are going about 2.7 million for OCR. All right, size wise is smaller, of course. And now you're getting Orie at a bigger space. Uh, yeah, I mean, usable space is bigger. I'm not talking about the actual overview. So the usable space is bigger. So then the question is today, how can we compare Chuan versus Ori in terms of space and price? Because Chuan already going for 2.7 million. If today starting from Ori, you can get about 2.6 million at the RCR location and nearer to town. It basically takes everything. Okay, it's a mature estate, it's near MRT. So I also sometimes scratch my head about Chuan's pricing. But who am I to say, right? Maybe turn out after TUB different. I also cannot comment. But based on the entry, that's where I scratch my head. So today we still want to buy based on what we can at that time with a safe entry to lower our risk as much as possible. So this is something that you need to be careful. So given a choice of a 3-bedroom compact, okay, the 850 square feet, the Dumbbell 3-bedroom to this, all right, it really depends on the price gap, how much difference they are, and is it worth to go for a bigger layout for safety, or I can only afford the 850. All right, so just need to know what are the key things that you all need between your purchase. All right, so is there going to be a huge difference between the high floor and low floor? Let us take a look also for the 3-bedroom. So for the 3-bedroom, if you use Ultra again using the 1044 square feet, the jump from this 11th floor, let me use a different color. Okay, about 11th floor, the price premium you're paying is about 9% for the same size. Okay, profit wise, of course, also got increased. All right, and this translates to maybe about 0.8% per floor jump. 0.8%. So just now, 2-bedroom is 3 to 5%, right? This one is 0.8%. So then we will start to study a little bit more. So we use the same example for Sterling. Sterling from 2nd floor to 34th floor. Okay, the jump of PSF as well as the profit. Okay, you can see a little bit more significant. And that's the reason why today the premium is about 14.5%, which comes up to about 0.45% in terms of the jump. You see, so is it acceptable? So looking at this, right, we also have to kind of look at today, if I buy Ori, who is the next target audience that we're going to look at when Ori TOP in the next 3-4 years, right? So you all already understand besides the demand of the schools, because you all should already know what are the good schools 1 km to Ori, right? The connectivity, okay? The north-south corridor that's going to be definitely operational by 2030. The MRT effect, this one, all these things, I'm sure you all already know much more better than me. So like 5 minutes to Braddell MRT by the side gate. And because Toa Payoh is already a mature estate. So the question is, out of all these factors, are there still other factors that can contribute to our exit in future? Who is going to buy from us? So one thing for sure, right? I believe today, if you don't know, then you are staying in Mars. You don't know about the $1 million effect in Singapore at this current moment. So we all know in Toa Payoh, recently the news just came out, 1.6 million. Wow. All right, I just met a client, their property also is there. So the Toa Payoh area are all hovering about 1.5, 1.6 million onwards kind of pricing. So all these are the headlines. You see, because there's so many HDBs around. And today, when there's upgraders, it's also meaning that today, if they want to stay back in Toa Payoh, Ori is the only selection. Of course, we don't talk about future, I'm talking about now. So that is one of the key things. So why is this a main factor that today you need to consider as a buyer of who you're going to sell to? Because today, based on the audience group, let's say we just use Bidadari. I don't even want to talk about Toa Payoh. I just talk about Bidadari because their property are also $1 million right now. Okay, so Bidadari, right, their property prices are already 1 million. Maybe from Bidadari, they will say that, hey, after I stay in here, maybe I want to move nearby, I want to change of a location. Then Toa Payoh is kind of the next location where they can go for if they want to buy a new property, a younger property, right? So then they will kind of switch off. So when they are if their prices are already having such a amount, right, $1 million, right? So let us just have a good estimate. So when they buy their HDB, right, it should be hovering about average about 500,000, about half a million for a BTO for unit. Then when they want to sell, wow, become $1 million, right, about 1.07 million, which means at the end of the day, when they sell, they will have easily a proceed about 758,000. So that is actually a whole pot of gold that if they want to upgrade, it's actually very comfortable for them to do it. So then they will say that, oh, maybe after HDB 4 bedroom, I also want to get a similar size type of condominium since I make profits from my HDB. Then I go for Orie 1023 lor, or this size I can stay longer. Then the question is that today, if today you're buying, let's say I'm just talking about the 3 bedroom 850 at $2,588 per square foot at 2.2 million. Is it possible to sell 400,000 profit at 2.6 million? So today, for them to take whatever capital and profits they have from their PTO to buy Ori, right, it is definitely doable with their loan and everything. So that's the reason why today, when I see that the prices for their 3 bedroom, it really depends on how much they're going to launch. And I believe it will be one of the hottest ticket as well, as per the development. And this will allow the buyers to understand. Today, if I have a choice to go for higher floors, how much premium should I go for? All right. So again, if you are looking for the 1 bedroom, 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom, one and 4 bedroom, I have another video that you all can actually go through in terms of my analytics. But if you are specifically just looking for 5 bedroom, right, we can take that separately because 5 bedroom configuration, there are more things that we want to consider, and you don't just look at Ori. There are also other developments that also have the same advantage and potential that you should look at. So if you're seriously looking at 5 bedrooms, we can actually help you do a data analysis to compare the entire Singapore properties, right? Which one makes more sense in today's marketplace? Or so again, today, if let's say you are intending to go for ballot, we actually prepared your more things. Okay, not just bring you there based on the price point and then just buy. There's more things that we cover during the preparation for ballot day flow, as well as the selection of unit. So if you find that today's session helped you to understand better about how we do comparison, how we look at prices jump, how do we do the selection, then you want to scan the QR code to get a second opinion for your property journey. Or if let's say today you're already wanting to go for Ori and then you're needing somebody to support you and guide you along to visit the show flat, to help you process all these things, do scan the QR code and then we'll be getting in touch with you to see how we can guide you through. Because Ori is going to be launching next week, so we only have about a week. We need to do a lot more understanding and prep work within this week to help you get access into the development. All right. So some of you, maybe you already visited, all right, and then you kind of like, wow, you learned so much. If you want to seek another opinion about your situation, if Ori is the one for you, maybe I will have another perspective I can share with you. Okay. So with that, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys giving time to come in to really learn about how this development and moving forward, how your property journey is going to be. All right, with that, thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.